My brother's text. Sold your piano. We need the money. He didn't know it was worth $2.8 million. The text arrived while I was teaching. Sold your piano for $500. We need the money. Don't make a scene, Elena. John had just sold my grandfather's 1925 Steinway Model M. The piano worth $2.8 million. I texted back, I understand. John replied, finally being reasonable. Mom and Dad are relieved. 27 minutes later, my phone rang. Manhattan area code. Miss Hartwell, this is Charles Morrison from Morrison Fine Arts. I believe I just purchased a piano that belongs to you. What kind of piano? A 1925 Steinway Model M. When I got it to my workshop, I found authentication papers hidden in the bench. He paused. This piano was owned by Vladimir Horowitz from 1926 to 1943. It's one of only 3 experimental Steinways known to exist. What's it worth? Conservatively, $2.8 million. Your brother sold me a museum-quality instrument for $500. I sat in my modest teaching studio with worn carpet. The irony wasn't lost on me. Mr. Morrison, are you a good person? Because I'm about to tell you something that might change how you feel about your purchase. What I didn't tell him was that Elena Hartwell, the piano teacher, was just my public persona. In reality, I was Elena Hartwell, the composer, whose works had been performed by the New York Philharmonic. My last commission earned more than John made in 3 years. I owned a Manhattan penthouse. But my family thought I gave $25 piano lessons to children. Keep the piano, but I want you to do something first. 2 hours later, I stood on my parents' porch holding documents that would change everything. John was on the couch, satisfied. The Steinway's space was now covered with his overdue notices. We're sorry about the piano, but John needed rent money. Dad said, it's okay, Dad. John looked relieved. See, it was just collecting dust anyway. I'd played that piano every visit, late at night when they were asleep. My best compositions started on those keys. I placed my portfolio on the table. John, who bought the piano? Charles Morrison. I handed him the authentication papers. John's face shifted to panic. This says Vladimir Horowitz owned it. One of the greatest pianists who ever lived. I handed Dad the appraisal from Steinway & Sons. The number made him gasp. $2.8 million, I said quietly. But I only got $500. Because you sold a museum-quality instrument assuming you knew what you were selling, Grandpa left it to me specifically. John had no legal right to sell it. I showed the highlighted will. I've been paying maintenance and insurance for 3 years. I thought you didn't want it. You never said you could afford maintenance. You never asked. You assumed because I teach piano, I must be broke. Well, aren't you? Dad asked. I opened my banking app. $4.2 million in checking. John choked. That's just checking. My investment portfolio is larger. How? Dad stared like I was a stranger. I'm a composer. The New York Philharmonic performed my 3rd symphony. Last year, my commissions totaled $1.8 million. But you're a piano teacher, John whispered. I teach because I love it. Silence. Why didn't you tell us? Because every time I shared my work, you'd ask when I was getting a real job. I pulled out a cashier's check. $2,800,000 pay to Elena Hartwell. He paid you because he's honest. I sold it for full value with conditions. It'll be displayed where students can play it. Why? Because Grandpa would have wanted it heard. And because I don't need the money. I stood up, leaving the check. You almost stole $3 million because you assumed I was unsuccessful. We had no idea you were doing so well. You never asked. You assumed my life was wrong because it looked different. Things are going to be different now. You're going to treat me like the successful adult I've been for 5 years. 3 days later, Mom called. I looked up your symphonies. They're beautiful. A week later, John called. I can't take all that money. Let me use some for school, learn audio engineering. 6 months later, my entire family attended my 4th symphony's premiere. John, now studying at Berklee, helped record it. Sometimes the people who underestimate you most are the ones who raised you.